Hi, I'm Riley.
And I'm Ryder. And this is my dad's show.
Hey everybody, it's Casey Jacox with the Quarterback Dadcast. I want to say thanks to all of our listeners, thanks to all of our sponsors for all your support. We are continuing to enjoy this journey together, inspiring dads, but I want to take a minute now to talk about Acme Homes. You've heard me talk about them before, but I'm going to talk about them again. Bob Cumming, former college teammate, amazing leader, amazing home builder. They continue to take so much pride in the work they do, the craftsmanship, the attention to detail. Whether you're looking for a home up in Monroe, up in Sultan, up in Wenatchee, this is where they're doing their amazing things. So many people during the pandemic, as we have the ability to work from home, have decided to move out of the city to try to find homes where there's more acreage. Well, that's exactly what Bob and team at Acme Homes give you. So check out Valley Vista up in Monroe. Check out Daisy Meadows out in Sultan. And if you want to even go to Eastern Washington, check out Sienna Heights in Wenatchee. They're, again, amazing craftsmanship, amazing floor plans. You can visit them at acmehomeswa.com. And if you're interested in learning specifically about listings or mortgage opportunities, contact Jen at 425-308-8082 or Denise at 425-309-2318. So now, why are we doing a new ad? Because we want to talk about a partnership they have with Portage Bank. Kevin Jensen is one of the great lenders over there. He's a senior vice president. He's going to take care of you. And right now, if you obtain a mortgage through Portage Bank, Bob and team at Acme Homes are going to pay your $500 appraisal fee. I said that right. They're going to pay your $500 appraisal fee by buying a home through them, getting your mortgage through the folks at Portage Bank. So don't wait. Now's the time to contact Jen, contact Denise. Again, Jen's number is 425-308-8082. Again, Denise is at 425-309-2318. Visit acmehomeswa.com right now. Don't wait. Thank you again for listening to the Quarterback Dadcast. So with that, let's get right to today's episode. Well, hey everybody, good morning. It's Casey Jacox with the Quarterback Dadcast, and we are in Season 3. And again, as a reminder, every episode in Season 3 is dedicated to my father, Michael Jacox. Big Mike, up in heaven, left us on December 29th, but I know he's looking down. Said a little prayer to him this morning, so hopefully he's doing well up there. But today, we get the chance to talk to a gentleman by the name of Salz. Hope I pronounced that name right. He'll correct me here in a second if I didn't. He comes to us from Andy Paul, my good friend, who is also an author. But Lee is a featured columnist in many business journals. He's been quoted in the Wall Street Journal, CNN, New York Times, MSNBC, NAB News. He's a frequent sought-after keynote speaker at associations, conferences, sales meetings, virtual events. He also is a best-selling, award-winning author of 6 books, including Sales Differentiation and Higher Right, Higher Profits. In 2021, his 6th book, Sell Different, was published by HarperCollins, which presents all new sales differentiation strategies. With all that said, actually, one more thing. The guy's a beast in the weight room, which we're going to hear about that too. But with all that said, now I've thoroughly pumped up this gentleman's ego, but we're going to talk about Lee, the dad. We want to learn about Lee, how he's working hard every day to become that ultimate quarterback or leader of his household. So without further ado, Lee, welcome to the Quarterback Dadcast.
Oh, thanks so much. I don't know what to say after that introduction. I think I got to slip you a 20.
Hey, here you go. It's like we need a smoke machine with some walk-up music too.
Right?
Well, we start each episode with, tell me, what are you most grateful for as a father right now?
It's very simple. I'm most grateful for my family. I've got a wife. We just celebrated 25 years being married and 3 kids. I have a daughter that just graduated in December from UND. I have a son who is a junior at Augsburg University, plays baseball for them, and a younger son is a freshman at Concordia St. Paul University, and he's a pitcher for them.
Wow, awesome. Now, when you say ND, we're talking Notre Dame or North Dakota?
North Dakota.
Nice.
Great clarification.
Yeah, I want to make sure I...
It's funny because I have the hat behind me, and a lot of people look at that because of the green. They think it's Notre Dame, but obviously it's University of North Dakota.
Now, what's the bias against the Bison from a North Dakota fan perspective? How is that a rivalry?
It is. UND and NDSU are rivals, and it's fun for all the sports because everybody gets charged up.
Love it. My one of my clients for years, named Chris Bart, shout out Chris if you're listening. diehard North Dakota State fan. Like his family, he lived in Seattle, but his brother, like he was such a diehard, he would literally get tickets to next year's national championship game while at the current national championship game. He was that confident.
I love it.
I'm like, wow, that takes some balls to pull that one off. I'm grateful for, we're recording now in March when this episode come out. It'll be a couple months from now, but I'm grateful for just like, I had awesome family time with my daughter this weekend and my son. My daughter, she's a hoop kid. And we spent we got to the Tacoma Dome, which is like an arena in the area. We spent, I think, from 8:30 until 7 at night. We were watching 5 state championship basketball games. And she did not want to leave. And then my son and he and I got to play golf yesterday afternoon, and it was awesome. So I was just, time's not slowing down, but I appreciate the time we get. So, well, you briefly talked about your family, but maybe tell us a little bit about like who's in the huddle. Like you got what's everybody up to? What's your wife? What's she focused on, and what does the family life look like right now?
Yeah, so she's what's called an ESP, a para support professional. So she works in the high school working with kids that need a little extra help. And my daughter graduated with a dual major in marketing and communications.
Okay.
And so she's actively pursuing a job right now. Steven, the one who's a junior at Augsburg, he's majoring in finance, and he just got an internship for the summer, which will be nice for him.
Nice.
And David's just getting his sea legs underneath him, freshman in college, semester 2.
And does it seem like yesterday you were probably coaching Little League?
Yes, coaching baseball. Everybody talks about protecting kids' arms, at a young age because of all these injuries. No one ever talks about the dads and all the batting practice we throw. There's no guide that says if you throw 300 pitches today that you should have X number of days. Right? Nobody talks about that. We're expected to just keep going all day long, every day.
It's a good point.
And we love it.
That's right. That's a good point. There's really no pitch count or 7 days rest. It's just, you got to get back on the mound and bring heat.
Yeah. And I remember a milestone when Steven was probably 13 years old, and I was pitching to him without an L screen.
Oh, geez.
And he hit a line shot off my kneecap. I never even saw the ball come off the bat. And I went down. I was like, that's it. L screen. No more.
Wow. I'm glad I hit your knee and not anything else. I thought,
no kidding.
That could be a cup check. That might be a bad one. America's Funniest Videos or something.
There's a dad in town. His son hit a line drive right in the mouth.
Ow.
Yeah, that was not good.
Wow. Yeah, no bueno on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like asking dads to share like what was growing up life like for you. What is that, what was that journey like? And maybe talk about some lessons you learned from your parents now that you're a father.
Sure. So I was born in Brooklyn, New York, lived in Staten Island, and then spent my teen years in Marlboro, New Jersey. And I could not have asked for a better growing up experience. 2 wonderful parents. I have a sister who is an attorney today. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I'll tell you a cute story. My grandfather on my father's side died when I was 2 years old. That's not the cute story, obviously. A few years later, my grandmother started dating this gentleman from Brooklyn, deep, thick Italian, and he played AAA baseball for the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Wow.
And I was this hotshot kid, hotshot pitcher, and I was about 13 years old. And my grandmother and his name was Frank, they come to visit, and we're playing out in front of the house, what was commonly called stickball, but we were actually using that yellow wiffle ball bat instead of a stick. And he gets out of the car. He comes up to me. He was probably in his early 60s at the time. He says, throw it in there. Let's see what you got. And I was a cocky 13-year-old, and I reared back, and I threw it as hard as I could. And I think the ball is still in orbit today.
Wow. Grandpa took you deep?
He took me deep, and it's still going. Every so often I see a little blue dot, which is the ball passing by.
How's the whiplash, though?
Oh, that hurt. It went by quick.
Wow. I love that. I love that. What did you guys ever talk about Jackie Robinson at all?
We did. Actually, a neat story. My parents, I forgot where they honeymooned, but my father went to get, the buckets, to get ice.
Yeah.
He goes out to get a bucket of ice and he runs into Jackie Robinson.
Wow.
And for years, he told me he actually had a picture taken with him and had no idea where it was.
Hmm.
And they were cleaning out the attic and they actually found it. I actually have I took a picture of it, so I have a digital version of him with Jackie Robinson.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What so you grew up in Jersey.
Yeah.
What did mom and dad do?
My mom was a teacher and also an educational evaluator in the New York City school system.
Okay.
And even today, if I say, yeah, me and Brian are going to the store, she'd say, no, Brian and I. And I'd say, no, Mom, you're not going. And my father was in banking.
Okay.
And so they still live part-time in Jersey and part-time they're doing the snowbird thing down in Florida.
Oh, that's awesome. You're lucky you got both of them with you still.
I very, very blessed. My in-laws too.
Wow. And mom and dad are still married?
They are.
How many years?
What is it now? 56?
Wow.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow. What if you think about like them setting the example, making it that long, tell me like a couple things that come to mind. What they do, what they focus on to keep that thing going.
So I mentioned shortly after we do this recording, I'm going to my son Steven's doubleheader. He's playing at US Bank today. And some of that comes from my parents growing up. I don't think they ever missed an inning of any game I ever played in all those years growing up. They were there for everything.
Wow.
And I was an okay ball player. My sons are very good. Obviously, they're playing college baseball. They must be pretty good. I was average, but they always made me feel like a champ.
Yeah.
No matter what I did, even today, I could do anything, and they think it's the greatest thing ever. My wife just enjoys that so much because they do now the same thing with her, and they do the same thing with my kids. Whatever any of us do, it's wonderful. And having people in your life that build you up that way,
yeah,
there's nothing better.
Speaking truth, your mom and dad are probably selling books for you down when there were snowbirds.
They have sold books, and I'll tell you what, so Stephen played last week. So US Bank is one of the only places where you can play baseball. It's March here, and in Minnesota. So Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Dakotas, it's like the only place you can play because it's indoors. So that place is running 24 hours a day.
Wow.
Last Wednesday, first pitch was thrown a few minutes after 10 p.m., and they finished the doubleheader about 3:15 in the morning. My parents stayed up till about 1 in the morning, which was 2 in the morning for them because they're down in Florida, and watching the game online. And anytime something great happens, my mother's calling. She's got her cheer and all that stuff. It's just really neat.
That's what's so cool. I don't know if it's like the pandemic brought that technology, but like even like at the high school level, or like for us locally here in Seattle, and we're in the suburb, but like grandparents weren't able to go anywhere, but so they started literally streaming middle school games.
Yes.
And I mean, it's so cool that they can see it. And why would that there all the time? But like, it's so nice they can be able to see and watch and cheer on the family.
Absolutely.
So growing up in the Northeast, I mean, I think that from the West, I hear it's like that's you think tough neighborhood, East Coast toughness. Like, talk about a little bit, what some core lessons your father taught you that you took into raising your boys and daughter.
One is whatever it is you do everything you can to be the best at it. Don't just do it to do it. Be committed to do it. That's a huge lesson. Yeah. And that's something that has stuck with me. And I see it with my boys and how they approach everything. Most important is their school, right? Baseball is nice, but that's not the main priority. But the way they approach their schoolwork, the way they approach baseball, and the way they approach their lives overall. It's just a wonderful way to do it. But you talked about growing up in New York City. It was so different than it is today. I literally would come home from school, take my book bag, throw it in the house, and say, "Mom, I'll see you later. I'm going out to play." And when I got hungry is when I came home. And of course, I just turned 53 years old, so you can do the math of when that was. And they had no idea where I was, what I was doing. I was out playing ball with my friends somewhere in the neighborhood. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I'd come home when I got hungry. Typically, that was when it got dark because when you couldn't see the ball anymore, that's when it was time to come home. But obviously, today you don't have that luxury.
No, it is so crazy how different. I mean, I think youth sports changed that. Youth sports is like a business now. The pressures people have on do this, do that. That fear of missing out. Am I doing the right thing? And
Yes.
versus the kids, they just don't have time to play.
Well, I think part of it is that, and part of it there is a reality. If you do want to advance and do something serious in sports, if you're not committed to doing something year round sports wise, you're probably going to be behind those who are.
Yep.
The worst, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, is the parents.
Yep.
And I remember this one time, this one parent was just going berserk. And it was a 9-year-old little league game. And I finally looked at him and I said, "You got money on this game? Because here's the only thing that's going to get me upset today. If I finish my Arnie Palmer and my bag of pretzels before this game ends, that's going to get me a little upset. Other
Right.
than that, you're watching your son play on a beautiful day.
Right.
What could be wrong?" And
I
I
know.
love the whole coaching through the fence thing. I mean, when you're standing at the plate, even for men's softball, you're not hearing what anybody's yelling at you. It doesn't matter from what direction. And to think you're going to actually coach someone while they're standing at the plate, a 9-year-old, you got to be kidding yourself.
I know. Well, it's funny. You made me think of a story this weekend. So my daughter, I mentioned we were at the state basketball championship, and there was one of the girls' games. A dad. So we're in like this arena, like it could seat 30,000 people at the game. Both sides, there's probably, we'll call it 2,500 people. And the dad literally he's 15 rows up, stands up in this arena and just is giving it to whoever could listen and
Yep.
making a complete ass of himself.
Yep.
And I joked with my daughter and her friend. I said, what's interesting that I think this guy doesn't know? He actually thinks the ref's going to call timeout, walk up into the stands, apologize to him, and say, "Sir, you're right. I'm going to put 23 seconds back on the clock, and I'll promise I'll never do that again."
Right.
And I'm like, "Bro, that's never going to happen." So, like, the energy you waste, you not only embarrass yourself, you embarrass your daughter, your son, and they're
Absolutely.
never going to change. So,
Absolutely.
choices.
Absolutely.
It's
And I'll tell you, one of the adjustments when the kids get to college level, like I was talking to my son David about his summer baseball plans, and he said, "I don't know if I'm going to pitch in play town ball, which is huge in Minnesota, or if I'm just going to work the gym and work on some mechanical stuff." And I said, "You know what? That's not a decision for you to make. It's also not a decision for me to make. That's a conversation with your coach. You're a college athlete. I don't vote. I don't get a vote anymore."
Yep.
And he had that conversation, and now he has a game plan for the summer.
That's awesome. I mean, I think it's what a gift right there. I mean, it's hard to let go as dads and parents, but at the end of the day, our goal is to prepare them for life. And your role changes from like caregiver to maybe consultant instead of coach.
Yes, and I shed a tear the last game because I knew it was going to be the last game I was coaching.
Right.
And a buddy of mine had coached together for a number of years, and uh, it was sad. I mean, to me, I had coached, 10 years, maybe more. And that
Yep.
last game, I just remember when the final out was made, going, "I can't believe it's over." 'Cause I
Yeah.
had so much fun. When the kids were really little, and when they don't have any skill, right? I'm talking about when they're like 7 years old.
Right.
And I made up this thing because some of the kids would get up to the plate and it was like they were swinging a wet noodle, right? And everybody wants to focus on skill. Well, let me teach them your elbow here, your feet there. I said, "You know what? Let's put skill aside." And I huddled up the kids and I held up a baseball. And I said, "What is this?" And they thought I was nuts. I said, "It's a baseball." I said, "No, it's not. This is a tomato. And when I pitch to you, I don't want you to see a baseball. I want you to see a tomato. and I want you to see an opportunity to splatter this tomato all over me.
Yeah, make it
And
fun.
it was right. And it was nothing about skill. It was nothing about improving, the hands, the swim, all that stuff. It was about mindset. And mindset, if you're talking about little kids, you're talking about adults, it's so tremendously powerful. I'll tell you another story. When, let's see, David was 8 and Stephen was 10. I was coaching a fall baseball team, and Stephen got drilled by a fastball. I mean, just like couldn't get out of the way and got him in the ribs, and he went down. And it had a double effect. Not only was Stephen now uncomfortable at the plate, so was his brother who just watched this.
Oh, geez.
And you can yell and scream all you want, saying, stay in the box. That's not going to make a difference.
No.
But I made a deal with him. I said, every time you hit the ball, I don't care if it's fair or foul, I'll get you a pack of baseball cards. I wanted them to think about something else. And then all of a sudden, they started doing that. Then it was, okay, it's got to be a fair ball. Then it was, okay, it's got to be a hit. Because they were bankrolling me. When I was a kid, I had 25 cents, I could get a pack of baseball cards. Now it's several dollars for a single pack that has fewer cards than when I was growing up. But that mindset just changed the trajectory. No longer were they thinking about, oh gosh, I hope that ball doesn't hit me. It was, I want a pack of baseball cards.
Right.
And that worked just so well.
Oh, that's great advice. I mean, young dads, if you're out there, listen to that one. We write that one down. Lee, tell me where you, your mindset training to be able to think about those types of things. Tell me where that came from, you think?
I think part of it was parents. Part of it was coaches that I had growing up. And a lot of what I'm talking about is applicable to what I do with sales consulting and speaking and training, and having the correct mindset in the sales profession, no different than what we're talking about in sports. I don't know if you've ever heard this. Have you ever heard how they train race car drivers?
No.
So there'll be an instructor that's sitting next to the driver. And obviously they're going at great speeds around the track. And what the driver wants to do is look at the wall and think, don't hit the wall, don't hit the wall. Well, the human mind doesn't understand the word not. So you might as well hit the wall because you just did. You're done. So what the instructor does is anytime the driver tries to look at the wall, they pull their head back. And the takeaway from that is, and I have this conversation with my kids all the time, with clients, don't think about what you don't want to do. Think about what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say, don't strike out, you might as well sit down. You already struck out.
Right.
Think about the affirmative of what you want to do. And if I'm talking with a sales client, God, I don't want to blow this meeting. You already did. Go home. Think about the affirmative of what you want to accomplish. And so if you think of these 3 anecdotes I've shared, it's really the power of the mind.
Yeah.
If we believe we can do incredible things. And that's not some voodoo. That's truth. And you can think about that for yourself. I know you were a quarterback, right? If you went up there saying, gosh, don't throw an interception, might as well sit down. You just threw an interception.
Yep.
Same concept.
I love this. I love you're taking the conversation here, Lee, because you speak in my language. And for those that are listening, obviously you can listen, you can't see. Lee and I both get to see each other's videos. He's got this amazing bookshelf, which tells me the guy's a lifelong learner. Hence, dads keep learning. We always got gaps. There's nothing else we can do we got to keep getting better. And I don't know if you can see behind me, what the sign behind me that says,
Believe.
That's right. And so just exactly what you talked about. And I'm a Ted Lasso fan, for those don't watch. But I always talk to my clients, sales clients. We do similar work, and I'm like, tell me if I was coaching somebody, I'd say, tell me what's changed. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, I thought you believe what you do matters. And if we start with belief, no matter, I don't care who you are, kids. And so like, I talk to my kids about the same thing. Like, and think about like golf, like a golfer's mindset. If you say, oh my God, there's a sand trap there, there's water there, versus instead of that, I see a 15-yard gap. I can't wait to rip it right between there. Like,
there you go.
Speak truth into yourself. And
Absolutely.
I think as leaders and kind of what your parents and your grandparents did to you, they're leading with love. They're leading with like speaking truth. And weird, you're a successful dude. I wonder where that came from. Like, versus the negativity, like create environments for optimism in our families about what's possible, because someone's going to do it. Why not you? Why not your kids? And so I love that you shared that with me, because that mindset's super important.
Thank you.
So tell me where you the idea to write books came from.
That came at a very young age. So when I first started out in business, there wasn't this internet thing. There wasn't email. There was nothing. So started off in sales, wound up in an executive role, and I would put together these tip sheets for my salespeople. And the more I put them together, I'm like, there's a sales philosophy here that I have if you string all of these together. And so in my early 20s, I said, I'm going to write a book. And one of the things I say to my kids all the time, and this is super important in the business world as well, because when you look at networking, I say have conversations, have lots of conversations. You never know where it's going to take you.
Yeah.
So I had this to do on my list. I'm going to write a book. And actually I developed a manuscript, and I wanted to have it traditionally published. And I went to see this speaker. His name is Jack Daly, and that's significant because he wrote the foreword for my book, Sell Different, book number 6. And after he was done, and I noticed he had a couple of books while he was there, and I went up to him afterwards. I said, hey, how did you get published? And he said, I self-published. I said, okay, well, I'm looking to do traditional publishing for my first book. He says, I've got a friend that just signed with a publishing firm in LA. I can introduce you to him. He introduces me to that guy. That guy introduces me to the publisher. And I didn't believe it at the time. So I had the conversation with the publisher. He says, I'm going to fly from LA to Minneapolis tomorrow to sit down with you. And I was like, yeah, right. Okay. Pick me up at the airport. We'll go to Mall of America. We'll sit down and let's get this figured out. Sure enough, he flew in. We went to Mall of America and we inked a deal. That's how I got my first book done.
Well, so you made that sound really easy. What did you say? What made that person say? What was it your story, your success track record?
It was a compelling sales topic, a sales book, which at the time there was a lot of interest, just as there is today, in finding new ways to approach sales. He liked the diversity of my background in applying this in multiple industries, so it was credible. And at the time, I was still vice president of sales for a company. I wasn't even on my own yet. So he liked that whole recipe. But the bigger takeaway from that story, and this is what I drive into anybody who will listen's head, is have conversations, have lots of conversations. You never know where it's going to take you. And notice I said have conversations. I didn't say walk up to everybody and ask for something.
Right.
Just have exploratory conversations. You just never know. Somebody will say something, go, I know somebody that can do that. Or someone that could help them with something.
I love that. You got me by a few years. I'll be 46 here in 5 days. March 12th.
Early happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. And I'm learning at this age, for me, my superpower that I am hoping to share to my kids is curiosity, which is what you're describing. And when we're curious, and Ted Lasso says, when you be curious, not judgmental, like most sellers, most people, when you're having conversations, you ask one question. Usually it's a shitty question. So I'll put the little E next to this episode. You ask a shitty question, and then you want to sell. You want to talk about how great you are, what you got going on, versus people. The gap is they ask 2 or 3 questions inside of one question. You confuse the listener. Which one am I supposed to answer? But instead, slow down, listen, don't hear, ask a question, but then ask like 2 or 3 follow-up ones once they get done speaking, and watch what happens. And then make it a choice to, I tell my kids, like, have a boomerang mindset, meaning that just keep serving, but don't keep score. Do not keep score. And at the end of life, you'll know that you'll have many boomerangs flying back at you because you served others, and in the end, it will help versus always trying to solve your own selfish needs. So I love that. I feel like we might be related. That's a
wonderful message. And you're right when you talk about salespeople that they don't ask enough questions. But I figured out whose fault that is. It's not their fault.
Leaders?
Nope.
Parents?
Yep.
Yep.
You know why?
Why?
We all come into this world naturally inquisitive. Why is the sky blue?
Yeah.
Why is this so big? Why is this so round? And what do parents do? It just is. No more questions. Have a lollipop. So we've been conditioned to believe that asking questions is an irritant. Someone's going to get angry.
Hey everybody, it's Casey Jacox. I want to take a quick break to talk about my friends up at Catch Sitka Seafoods who continue to be just an amazing loyal sponsor. And for those of you who've tried it, thank you. For those of you who haven't, you're missing out. And now's the time to make sure that you visit catchsitkaseafoods.com and get some of those amazing smoked salmon. Get some of that amazing rockfish, blackfish, black cod, salmon, whatever it might be, whatever you like. But what's great about opportunities they have, now's the time to subscribe to a box so that you're going to get that reliable cadence of the best fish directly from the dock to the doorstep. And what's great about Catch Sitka Seafoods, they make it so easy. So those that maybe aren't the best chefs at home, doesn't matter. They're going to give you this beautiful, nice laminated recipe card that tells you exactly how long to cook it, whether you're going to barbecue, you're going to bake, you're going to fry, whatever the way you want to do it, they're going to make it easy. So please visit them today, catchsitkaseafoods.com. Sign up for a subscription so that you know you're going to get the best fish delivered directly to your door. You won't regret it. And just like my daughter Riley says, Dad, I don't even like fish. And she does now because of my friends up at Catch Sitka Seafood. So with that, let's get right back to today's episode.
Yet every study that's ever been done on sales says the key to success is asking thoughtful, insightful questions. So we have this disconnect. So I do a lot of work reprogramming salespeople around that topic to help them rediscover what I call insatiably inquisitive. You call it curiosity, same concept.
Mm-hmm.
And I do this exercise where I'll give them one data point, and they have to come up with as many follow-up questions as they can. So, for example, I'll say, I want to go to Florida. Come up with as many questions as you can based on the statement, I want to go to Florida. Have you ever been to Florida? How are you going to get there? Do you prefer the East Coast or the West Coast? Do you like beach? Do you like pool? On and on and on. And so I do that a lot, forgetting what they sell for the moment. And then I'll bring it back to their world. And so let's say they're in something where there's inventory management. I want to improve inventory management.
Mm-hmm.
Come up with as many questions as you can, and I'll time it. I'll give them like 60 seconds, as many as they can. That Florida one, I did that with a group. And in 3 minutes, the group came up with 86 unique questions based on the statement, I want to go to Florida. So to your point about this curiosity piece, that is such a huge issue in sales, and it's wonderful that you're working with your kids on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you nailed it too with the why. Because sometimes I'll joke with my clients. I'll say, "What is a 4-year-old's favorite word?" It's why. Why, mommy?
Mm-hmm.
Why? And so, as you're meeting with people, pretend you're 4, and just keep asking why. And I think that's such a good point where we are. It is fear. It's parents that give them the iPad, or go play a video game, and hey, sweet, I don't have to talk to my kids. They're playing video games for 4 hours versus. I hope that dads out of this episode realize that time flies by. I mean, Lee talked about in the beginning he was coaching baseball. Now he's got 2 boys in college. His daughter just graduated. Time is not slowing down. I can still remember when my son, he's 15, when he was in a Baby Bjorn, I'm like, what the hell? Where did that happen? Like, it is not slowing down. So be intentful, be purposeful. Lee talked about mindset, have the right mindset to start each day. Because each conversation we get with our kids, each opportunity, we are either shaping them in whatever way that is going to happen. So while we have control and while we have influence, take advantage of it, dads, right now. Lee, as you think about maybe actually, I'm always curious, people who go down entrepreneurial paths, I did this too, but when you decide to leave corporate, you're like, you know what? I'm done. I gotta go. Like, maybe talk about that real quick for maybe a dad out there who's thinking about jumping ship, that he wants to do his own thing. Maybe walk us through that story.
So for me, one of the things that I love doing is going into organizations that it was something new. No one had done it before. It was a turnaround situation. So when recruiters would call me and say, hey, we've got the sales leadership opportunity. And if they said, the guy that was in that role, left just to pursue another opportunity. We're just looking for someone to pick up where he left off, or, hey, we just promoted the guy in this role. He did a great job. Just want you to pick up where he left off. I didn't care how much money it was. I wasn't interested. For me, tell me it hasn't been done before. Tell me it's broken. And that got the juices flowing. The challenge with that was I'd be fired up for 2.5 to 3 years. And once the strategy was built, the process, the tools, and all of that was in place, I was ready to hire my replacement and go do something else.
Yeah.
Which told me consulting is where to be, because when the creative part of the job is done, so are you. Right? You teach the clients and how to manage the systems that you've built.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I used my first book as the foundation to go off and do my own thing.
Okay. And was it a scary day, or was it more just exciting? Like, let's go. I was meant to do this type thing.
What was really neat was my first client was a former employer. The CEO said, "Oh, you're on your own? Great. I've got a project for you." So I wasn't starting at zero. I had revenue coming in minute one as soon as he heard I was going off on my own to do my own thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and you know what? Some people say, boy, not having a defined paycheck, that's scary. You know what's scary to me? I mean, you're close in age to me. To be 53 years old and someone waking up and saying, you know what, we don't need you anymore. Or someone saying, by the way, I'm going to determine how much you get to make. The beauty of this country is if you can go make it, you can go get it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I look at it again from the affirmative. I've got nothing but opportunity to get out there.
I love that. Have you ever heard the old shoe salesman story? Two guys go to a village in Africa.
I don't think so.
This is kind of a corny dad joke story, but you might find it giggle. Hopefully the listeners do as well. So you have two, feel free to steal this too. You have two, and it's about mindset. You have two sellers.
Okay.
And manager says, "Hey, Bob and Susie, excited about this opportunity for you. I'm going to take you out of your territory. We're sending you guys both to Africa." They're like, "Okay, great." They get down there. Bob calls boss, says, "Boss, man, this is not good. You got to send me home." He's like, "Why? I'm down here trying to sell shoes, and no one wears shoes. There's no way they're going to sell."
Yes. Yeah.
Susie calls him, "Boss, thank you for the most amazing opportunity ever. No one wears shoes. The market's exploding.
Yes.
There's so much opportunity for me."
Yes. Yes.
You know,
I have heard. Once you started telling, I was like, yes, I know that one. That's a wonderful story.
You know, but just to your point, like, think about, as dads, if we instill that type of mindset into our kids about how they're going to impact companies, organizations, communities, relationships. And I think that's our job. And at least the type of work you and I are doing.
Yeah.
And if no matter what, if you're not in sales leadership, coaching, what Lee and I are doing, but let's say you're a custodian, well, be the best custodian out there and build relationships with the teachers and the faculty and make yourself, what I always like to strive for is how are we going to be uncommon today?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tony Dungy talks about the word uncommon in a great book. And so I think as dads, if we can help create uncommon kids who do uncommon things for positive outcomes, we're doing our job in life.
You know, there's a conversation I had with my sons that we were playing golf once. This was a number of years ago. And we were talking about baseball. And I said to them, whenever this stops being fun, let's stop doing it and go do something else. And they're like, seriously? Because baseball's a religion in this house. I'm a huge Yankees fan. I can't get enough baseball. But I said, yeah, that's what it's about. If it's not fun, go do something else. And when I would take sales leadership jobs like we were talking about, the first day I would tell whoever it was I reported to, the CEO, whoever it might be, when the day comes that I have to use an alarm clock to get up to come in here, I don't care how much you're paying me. I'm going to hand you the keys and say, thank you. I'm gone. Life's too short.
Yeah.
And if you follow where your passion is, you'll live an incredible life. You'll be happy. And chances are you'll find a way to make money at it. I mean, I told my wife I'm never retiring. Why aren't you retiring? Why would I stop? Since 2007, I've been on my own. I haven't worked a day since. I love what I do, every minute of it. And so why would I stop?
Mm-hmm. What did you, as you look back on your journey, tell me where you believe your passion for the selling profession came from?
So I graduated high school. I was the 110-pound weakling.
Okay.
And I got a job in an upscale health club in my town in Marlborough, New Jersey, as a weight room supervisor. Had never lifted a weight in my life.
Okay.
And I'm the weight room supervisor. So some of the members who knew what they were doing took me under their wing and taught me this. And I fell in love with the fitness industry. When I was in college, I managed a hardcore gym. So I was working full time while I was in college as well. Competed in bodybuilding when I was in college. And during my senior year, one of the members was a banker, and he says, I just loaned a bunch of money to some muscleheads in Syracuse. They've got four gyms, but they don't have common ownership. They have all the same name, but don't have common ownership. They need someone to put that together, and I think that's you. So my first job out of college, I was the executive director of a chain of health clubs.
Wow.
Which was really neat. I was making $600 a week cash, which when you're 22 years old, that's pretty darn good.
Right.
Then at the end of my first year, I went to them and said, okay, so we built a marketing plan, a sales system. Numbers are through the roof. We need to talk about compensation. They said, well, we have all these things. Why would we pay you more? And at that time, Bally was recruiting me. So I went to Bally and became the youngest executive in Bally's. And here it was, top of the food chain. I was making $50,000 a year. So very quickly, I recognized being at the top of the food chain, making $50,000 a year. This is a wonderful hobby. It's not a career.
Right.
But I really like this sales thing. So I said, okay, I'm going to keep the fitness thing as my hobby, and let's see where the sales thing can go. So I got into the IT space and worked in a few different industries, building sales forces, and just had an absolute blast with it.
Wow. And haven't looked back.
Had not looked back.
Do you think either your kids, and you talk about your middle son in finance, but you think the other two might get into sales?
My daughter, maybe, not the boys. My younger son is thinking possibly the medical profession.
Okay.
And Steven's going down the finance route at this point. But my daughter, I'll tell you a cute story with her. It starts with the sad piece, but it becomes cute. So we had two adopted dogs, and I mean, we're a huge animal-loving family, and one of the dogs reached that age, had cancer and stuff. We had to put her to sleep, and it was unbelievably painful for the family. I don't think I've ever cried so much, not to mention watching my kids. It was just brutal. And I remember my wife and kids saying, never again. We're never getting another dog. Mind you, remember I said I had two, so we still had one. So you can't say you're not having another dog. You still have one. And about 8 months later, my daughter says to me, we should get another dog. And I was the only one in the family who was okay with doing that, because I love having dogs around. And I said, well, here's the only way that's going to happen. All 5 in the family have to say yes. Can't be 4 out of 5. It's all 5. I'm on board. You're on board. You got 3 out of 5 that are pretty definitive no's. And she kept going down this path saying, I think we should get a second dog. My wife would get really irritated. It's not happening. We're never getting another dog, period. And then she changed her strategy. She said, Rocky is so used to having another dog around. I think he needs a friend. In 24 hours, she turned the entire family to 5 yeses, had already picked a breeder, and had a puppy in mind. And so we adopted a cockapoo.
There you go. What she did is called the art of persuasion, Lee.
Indeed.
The art of persuasion states, if I try to convince you to do something, you're going to resist me. But if you ask me great questions of value and make your idea my idea, I'm going to be a value-based seller. So your daughter, tell her don't be giving up yet. There's companies that want that skill set.
Absolutely. I tell her that all the time. She knows she can sell, but she ran the social media part of my book launch back in the fall.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Okay. So as you think about you got 3 kids that have either in college, graduated college, you and your wife did something right?
And we're empty nesters now. That's an adjustment. Let me tell you, wait till you get there. Thank goodness for the dogs, because all of a sudden there was no energy in the house.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to that. You talk about crime, man. I'm going to be a mess when that happens.
It was rough. It was rough.
Oh,
That first month was brutal.
hmm. Well, as you think about your journey as a dad, like we as dads make mistakes every day, but we have a choice. What do we do? Are we accountable with ourselves? Are we vulnerable or humble to admit our own gaps? I think that's the challenge that's hopefully what people get out of these episodes is like, we're not all perfect. But when we can ask for help, you show your kids that it's okay to ask for help because that's how we improve in life. So maybe as you think about your dad journey, Lee, what was an area your dad game that maybe early on you're like, man, this is not working, that maybe other dads can learn from? And how did you go about maybe making tweaks to become that ultimate or better leader of your home?
You talked about keeping score,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something my parents do a bit.
Yeah.
Like if they call, like I mentioned, I said, "Hey, when's the last time you talked to so and so?" Well, I called and left a message. They never called back, so they're going to hold their breath, and if they never call again, they'll never talk to that person again. And that's something that I told my wife is that that's just not the way we're going to operate in our home.
Yeah. So how would you go about making that shift for advice for people? How did you make sure, fix that gap, or how would you, coach other people at home who were listening to say, well, how do you not do that?
I guess my mindset has been I'm always looking to give. I don't need to get, like, for example, I had a conversation last week with someone who wrote a book,
Yeah.
and he was having some challenges with some publishing, and I said, I know the senior editor at HarperCollins. I said, I can't guarantee you they're going to take you on, but I can certainly get you a conversation. And I connected them, and I don't know where it ended up. I think they were talking this week, and he says, "What can I do for you?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "Really?" I said, that's just not the way I operate.
Mm-hmm.
A smile, that's all I want to see.
Yeah. That fill your tank when you do that stuff?
It does, and it'll really fill my tank if he gets a deal, if that all works out.
I swear we might be related, brother. That we got similar mindsets. I love, like, when I talk to people, like, my goal is I always want to hear two things. I want to hear a great question from people.
Yeah.
And then I also want to like figure out on LinkedIn, how can I connect people? And then just not even without them asking, like, just figure out ways to, like, introduce people, because it's fun to watch it all happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you an example. So I have coaching clients, individual salespeople that pay out of their own pocket to work with someone like me to help them be successful.
Mm.
And I always tell them, whenever you get a deal, you send me a text that says "Got Inc." And that started from a coaching client I worked with. And so he started sending me that. And I'm like, I love this. So every coaching client, and it just makes my day knowing that I help someone to be more successful in their career.
That's so cool. Awesome. Well, keep doing what you're doing, man. The sales profession needs you.
No, thank you.
Okay, so as you think about our conversation we've had today, and summarizing, before we go into the lightning round, actionable tasks that dads can take from our conversation. We talked a lot about, we talked mindset, we've talked attitude, we've talked sports, we've talked relationships. But if you're to give like 2 or 3 actionable nuggets of advice for dads to be that ultimate leader of their home, describe what comes to mind.
I think one of the first things is whenever you look at your kids is, we all love sports, and it would be nice if our kids became the next Mike Trout or, some incredible athlete.
Kirby Puckett.
Right. Buy a lottery ticket. You probably have a better chance of that happening. Make them good people.
Yeah.
Help them to become good people. Help them to be resilient. Help them to be self-sufficient. Help them to commit to being the best that they can be in whatever they try to do. Make sure they know it's okay to fail.
Mm-hmm. Love that. I'm writing this down. Hope everybody else is too.
I always videotape when I go to my kids' games, and my son's college player, college junior, and every time he gets up to the plate, I'm taking video. You know why? I'm not going to have a conversation with him about his feet, his hands. My kids ask me, the boys ask me, "Hey, can you send video of every at bat or if they're pitching?" Because because they want it for their own self-evaluation, say, oh, I see something I did here. I'm not calling them up and saying, I saw your head was not in the right spot. And even and so, I'm talking about Steven. He's 20 years old. He'll be 21 next month. I'd be saying the same thing if they were 8 years old. And you hear this all the time. The kids dread getting in the car with their parents after the game because the parents are just saying, okay, let me give you the recap. Let me tell you how you screwed up.
Right.
And I don't know. To me, life's too short. I enjoy the game. You know what I do now? This is really fun. In the summer, one of the 2 days of summer we get in Minnesota, the boys like to do home run derby.
Oh, there we go.
And I'm the pitcher. And we go there and they're like, eking each other on, messing with each other. They got tunes blaring. They got their hats on backwards and they're having a blast. And I'm just tossing and just grinning ear to ear, making a mental note of that because there is nothing better. Beautiful sunny day with your boys just laughing and messing around, hitting home runs. And it's just super neat.
Please tell me
we can't wait for it to get warm enough to do it again.
Please tell me we got an L screen though, right?
There is an L screen. I actually bought my own because one of the places we go to, they didn't always have an L screen. And some of them, the nets get tattered. I have my own L screen.
Solid. What, okay. So you said make good people, build resilience, help them build it. It's okay to fail. Anything else come to mind that dads should take from our conversation today?
Enjoy them. And you mentioned how fast it goes. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Every year you get older, someone takes their foot and puts it a little more on the accelerator. It's fat. I mean, my wife and I had some milestone. I'm like, how was that 5 years ago? I want someone to take their foot off the accelerator and slow it down. If I was given the chance, I've told my wife this, if I could start all over again and experience, not change anything, just to experience my kids when they were little and go through this whole thing again, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. No, it's so true, man. It is not slowing down. If you're a younger dad, you'll be like, who are these old guys? What are they talking about? You'll be like us in a second before you know it. And
that's it.
And if your parents are still alive, love them. I got, losing my dad in December, obviously it was tough, but, if your dads are still with you, man, dads, love your dad, keep spreading love because this time, like we keep talking about, is not slowing down. All right. Before we go into, actually, let's do a lightning round and then I'm going to find out how people can learn more about you. So we're going to fire questions at you. Your job is to answer these as quickly as you can. My job is hopefully to be so random that I bring a giggle to your face. And I'm not going to count that giggle you did right there.
Fair enough.
Okay. Favorite New York Yankee of all time?
Derek Jeter.
Okay. True or false? You can beat Derek Jeter in a bench press competition.
Yes. True.
Okay. True or false? Your bench press was once 538 pounds.
That would be false. That's a dream.
What is your bench press?
Most I ever did was 370.
God, look at you.
And since then, so 4 years ago, New Year's Eve day, I was training for the state tournament and I'm having a great workout. I'm about 3/4 of the way through and I'm doing overhead extensions and I do a set of 10 reps and I add 10 pounds to it. And on the second rep, I felt a giant rubber band snap in my arm. I completely ruptured my left triceps.
Ouch.
And New Year's Eve day, you're not getting an MRI done. So I went to the emergency room. They're like, yep, that's probably what you did. They put me in a sling. And so that's the 31st. The first, you're not getting anything done because everything's closed. The second, I had to get on a plane and deliver a 3-day sales differentiation program to a client. While I was there, from my shoulder to my fingertips, my entire arm turned purple.
Whoa.
And so a side story, David got hurt when he was in 8th grade playing basketball and he had some knee surgery done. And so I still had that doctor's contact information. So when I was sitting in the waiting room, when I first got hurt, I sent him a note saying, I think you just got a new patient. And then when I was on my trip, I said, is this normal? He goes, yep, from what you described, that sounds about right. But I was told I was done powerlifting forever.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm lifting since I'm like 18 years old. That was devastating. And I came back, I actually won the state tournament in 2021 and got the opportunity to go back to the doctor and say, ha ha.
There we go.
And so I've gotten, just 3 weeks ago, I got 365 again. So I'm 5 pounds away from my overall best, and I'll take that down.
Wow. That is impressive, my good man.
Thank
my
you.
fitness goals, I still do a lot of like CrossFit type stuff, but my fitness goals now are, sarcastically speaking, but I mean it truthfully, don't get fat and don't get hurt.
Amen.
Because playing quarterback, I still fight back stuff. I'm just coming off a flare up where it is no bueno, but
yeah.
Okay. Favorite 80s comedy movie?
Caddyshack.
God, Gunga La Gunga.
That's
favorite? It. No. Okay. Favorite book you've ever read?
Favorite book I've ever read. Oh my gosh, I got to think about that. I think it was Balls. It was Greg Nettles' book about the Yankees. Damn Yankees was also a favorite of mine about Billy Martin.
Okay. Favorite sports movie of all time?
Field of Dreams. And this was really neat. My son David played in a tournament in Iowa, and we were an hour away from Field of Dreams. So we took a drive there, and we go in the field, and he says, "Want to have a catch?" And we had a catch in the outfield, and oh my gosh! I said to him, "I don't need pictures of this. It's burned right here forever."
That's awesome. If I was going to come to your house tonight, what do we have for dinner?
Probably chicken parmesan. If not that, steak.
There we go. If you're to book a vacation in the next 5 minutes, where are you going?
Maui.
Okay.
Was that fast enough?
There we go. I just got back from Hawaii. We had a great time.
We did too. We were in Maui the first week of January. One of the benefits of kids not being in the younger grades, you don't have to take vacation when everyone else is. So we went first week of January. The crowds weren't anywhere near as bad, and nor were the prices.
There you go. If we were to write a book about your life, what would be the title?
Persevere.
Okay. Now this book, Carper.
I would have said Believe, but you have it on your wall.
I like that too. If this book now, or when it goes, New York Times bestseller, it's out there. Everyone wants to get a copy of that, but now Hollywood wants to make a movie of it. Tell me who's going to star you.
Oof. I'll go with Derek Jeter.
Oh, there we go.
With that.
Well, he left the Marlins. He's coming to get in Hollywood.
He's smart.
That's why he stepped down.
That's right. That's it. It's funny. One of my long-term clients is the Sacramento River Cats. They're the AAA baseball team for the Giants, but they used to be affiliated with the A's.
Okay.
Back during Moneyball, when that was being created, I was working with them, and so I was always joking with the owner of the team, saying, "Well, who's going to play me in the movie?"
So good. What is the one song played in your phone that your buddies would give you a hard time about?
Oh, this is bad. This is very bad. I'm going to play it for you because
there we go.
This is one you probably have not heard. And this has been getting me charged up in the gym for my lifting. And when I tell you who sings it, you'll know why I'm embarrassed. You ready?
Now let's go. First live song. I'm getting jacked up. Let's keep it going. Is it Pink?
What's that?
Is it by Pink?
Nope.
Radiohead? Nope. Oh, no, this is Norio Gato, Mr. Roboto? Nope. I don't know.
It's called True Survivor.
Okay.
By David Hasselhoff.
No way.
Isn't that a good tune?
Hasselhoff, Knight Rider guy?
Yeah. So apparently he wrote this song. It's from a movie called Kung Fury.
No way. Look at that. That's outstanding.
Right? It had some good energy to it, good drive. And so I've been pounding that in my head just before I lift.
I did not.
But I'm embarrassed when I tell people it's David Hasselhoff.
I love it, dude. Hey, that guy. people can bust his stones, but he's been a successful dude.
That's true.
You know. All right. The lightning round's over. We both giggled. I learned a lot about you. I learned a song, which is awesome. If people want to learn more about Lee's business, the books you read, how can they get in touch with you?
So my main website is salesarchitects.com. And so that's plural, ARCHITECTS.com.
Okay.
My most recent book, Sell Different. If you go to selldifferentbook.com, you can actually download the first chapter free, either to listen to or to read. And if you enjoy what you've read and you buy a copy, wherever you do, come back to that site, selldifferentbook.com, and sign up for the video series that goes along with it. Every week for a year, I send out a video to help you implement the strategies that you read about.
So cool. I will make sure all this is linked in the show notes so people can take advantage of your wisdom and experience that you're providing to many companies out there. I want to take a quick minute just to thank our sponsors. Thank Catch Sitka Seafoods. Amazing fresh fish. Again, I always like to tell a story. They turned my daughter turned her from a pizzatarian, which she used to call herself, into someone who loves fish. So parents, if you're looking for amazing fresh fish directly shipped from the harbors of Alaska direct at your house, I always like to say I was a little scared doing it because I was like, wait a minute, fish through the mail overnight? But it comes like freezer packed ice. It is the easiest thing to do, and it's money. And then also just a huge shout out to my boy Bob Cumming, former college teammate, who is doing amazing things in the state of Washington from a home building perspective all over the state. He continues to grow, continues to find land, continues to find and build amazing homes. So Bob, make sure you check out acmehomeswa.com. Lee, this has been a blast talking to you. I can't thank you enough for your time. Have an absolute blast at the baseball game today.
Well, thank you. This has been great fun.
Yeah, appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too.
Well, thank you, Lee Salz, for joining me today on the Quarterback Dadcast. Man, that was a fun conversation. Love you brought his live music into this episode, which was fun. I love talking a little powerlifting. Baseball, the power of the mind. Love that. Mindset's everything. It's so important. When we think about it as dads, we think about it as business people or husbands or friends, or start the day with the right mindset and think about things to be grateful for. Have many conversations with others about that. And I think you'll find you'll bring more positivity in your life. I love how he ended it with, our job as dads is really to make good people, build that resilience. Let them fail, because failure is a great way to learn. And not always fun to see your kids struggle, but when they do, they're going to learn and they're going to be better on the other side of it. So if you have not yet left us a review here at the Quarterback Dadcast, please go over to iTunes right now, Spotify, wherever you consume your podcast, and leave us your thoughts on how we're doing. Let us know how we can continue to improve. But with that, this episode's in the books, and we look forward to another episode next week on the Quarterback Dadcast.